Change has occurred to the point where that's who I am. It's not what I do, it's who I am. What is up, beautiful people? Kirby Hasseman here, and today I want to talk about creating change in your life and ultimately in your organization. And I'm going to give you the 4 steps that we go through when creating real change. Look, most of us who are consuming personal development content, trying to grow in our careers and grow in our lives, the hard part is change is painful. Change is difficult. I think our brain is programmed to keep us comfortable. And so whenever we kind of move outside of that, our brain starts screaming internally saying, you don't want to do that. You're moving outside of your comfort zone. But we all know intellectually that the real change in our life happens outside of our comfort zone. So today I want to talk about those 4 steps, those 4 phases that we go through when we create change in our life and in our organization. So let's dive into them right away. First things first, you need to set a goal. That's the first step in creating real change in your life. Now, I think we hear that and we go, yeah, I know I'm supposed to set goals, all that. But it reminds me that my favorite quote is the greatest distance in the world is a distance between I know and I do. We know that we should be setting goals in our life and setting them regularly, but most people aren't doing it. Studies will tell you that only 3% of our population has goals and have them written down, which that goes right in opposite with the idea that you're 83% more likely to achieve a goal if you write it down. So I think that while we know we should be setting the goal, so many people are not taking the first step of setting a goal and trying to move that into action. That's how we first create change in our life. So if you are going to do that, if you want to create change in your life, the first step is to creating a goal that is meaningful for you, because real change is going to be difficult, and so it needs to be something that you're excited about on those days that you don't feel like doing the work. So step one in the first phase of change is just to set the goal, get it on paper, get it down, and then put it where you can see it on a regular basis so you're reminded. So you see that and you get those urges that say, hey, I want to work out. Hey, I want to make more sales calls. Hey, I want to do that thing, so that on a regular basis you're reminded. Okay? So step 1 is create goal. Step 2 is to create a routine where you actually take the action. So the one thing about that I think, when people talk about manifesting or they talk about goal setting is that they stop with the thought process. They stop with the process of just writing it down, and nothing happens until somebody actually takes an action. So the reason that setting a routine where you do the thing that you should do to move you toward the goal, doing that in a routine manner and doing it at the same type of day, the same place, can be so powerful. So studies will tell you that if, let's say you want to write a book or you want to start writing a blog or whatever it is, when you do that at the same place, when you sit down at the same place to do that at the same time of day, it's amazing how your brain starts to react, because the brain says, oh, okay, this is where we write, so now must be the time that we write. And by putting yourself in those places where the routine helps you do the action on a regular basis, that is when the magic begins to happen. That's when the transformation in any part of our life actually starts to change. So you say, okay, I set the goal, but then I create the routine where every morning I'm going to do the thing. So here recently I've been working out more. And so my routine then started, I wanted to create more content. Well, there was a nice space at the end of a workout where I'm feeling it. The blood is flowing and I get ideas because I'm listening to podcasts and books on my run. So I've started to create a routine where right after my run, I have an idea and I record a video. So I've set the goal that I want to create more content that's relevant. And then now I'm starting to, okay, I do it right after my run. So I'm starting to build that up. So the first phase is that you got to set the goal. The second tactic, the second step in the process of change is to create a routine where you take the action. The third step in it is it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, that's when real change starts to occur. Because the fact is, willpower is finite, right? Willpower is something that you run out. That's why sometimes at the end of a day, that's when you start making poor decisions, because you're tired. You have made so many decisions all day long. Decision fatigue is a real thing. And so once you can build it up so that you go, okay, I do this at this time and this, and you start to I always say it's like, for me, for a long time, I'm like, I know I need to work out in the morning because it gets my blood flowing, and that's when I do it without interruptions and all that, and I created the routine to do it. Today, it becomes a habit, right? And then the habit is like, oh, all of a sudden, this is just what I do. I don't have to put any willpower towards doing it because that's just what I do around 6:30 in the morning. I'm not fighting with myself to move myself toward that goal. The habit helps kind of propel me toward the behavior that I really, really want. And so that's the third step, is that it develops into a habit. And finally, the fourth step in the real process of change is when it becomes a lifestyle. When it becomes not the thing you do, but the person that you are. That's when you know real change has occurred. So again, back to the workout side of things. At this point in my life, if I don't do the workout in the morning, I feel weird, right? Because the change has occurred to the point where that's who I am. It's not what I do, it's who I am. And I think that's when the fourth the process of change really becomes the change has been affected. The change has happened. So you start with the goal, then you create a routine where you can actually take action. It develops into a habit so that you're doing it on a regular basis. And then finally it becomes the lifestyle. It becomes a piece of who you are. And once that happens, then you really have created a habit. And so many of us are created change in our life, And I think so many of us do this, but we do it unintentionally. And that's why I think it has to start with that goal. We do it on purpose. And when we do that, we can start to create the life we really want. I hope this has created you some value. If it has, please feel free to subscribe and share so we can spread the message to other folks who need to create change in their life. Thanks.